Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you all for coming today. I think it's important to start at the top of the mountain here and think in a little bit broader terms about how much general farm support costs the government, less than 1% of the overall federal budget, and how much that provides in terms of the impact on the overall economy. Now, this Congress, a year and a half ago, throws $700 billion at the credit laundering operations on Wall Street in order to stabilize them. And year in and year out, we have this set of farm programs that comes under a great deal of scrutiny, rightfully so. The Farm Bill isn't perfect. But nonetheless, during this economic downturn throughout the rest of the economy, this portion of the economy has remained relatively stable. Some pockets of difficulty here and there, but overall, agricultural production and the well-being of the farm sector has provided one of the stabilizing influences in this overall economy for a relatively small investment of the public dollar. So I think it's important for all of us to keep that in mind as we appropriately look at potential adjustments to the overall farm programs. In that regard, though, and I apologize I missed your earlier testimony, but what works well, what doesn't work well, keeping in mind that earlier statement that I said, that the main purpose of this is, again, the stabilizing influence of this important sector of our overall economy. Then I'll turn to some of you who had talked about nutrition programs as well.
Well, I'll say one thing that has worked fabulously well is our energy policy in terms of the Energy Independence Security Act, in terms of raising the demand for farm commodities. That has put in a good floor under the price of corn, soybeans, and wheat, because soybeans and wheat compete with corn. So I think that is, from the farm sector, that has been, from the crop sectors, that's been really good. Not so much from the livestock sector, because their feed costs have gone up, of course. But overall in agriculture, I think that has worked.
This is a good point, and that my second question was going to be about emerging opportunities, and that's clearly one.
Congressman, I'd add that I think it's important, as you think about, the people focus on the cost of farm programs, to also think about the benefits that society receives. And one that hasn't been mentioned this morning, but I think it's important to remember, is how the farm programs play a significant role as an environmental program and a soil conservation program. The 85 conservation title was one of the most significant things that we've done in farm policy probably in the last century. And whether it's sod buster or swamp buster or cross compliance, those are important programs that are helping conserve soil and protect water quality. Many of you remember the situation before we had the CRP. CRP has functioned in part as a production control or management program that's reduced some of the costs of other supply management programs. And I guess part of my concern, or at least issue, would be, as you look at the difficult question of how you move forward in structuring whatever the system of farm programs are, farm support, the whole question about how we at least historically have used those as a carrying agent, as the basis upon which we've rested our soil conservation policy and everything that's associated with that. That's important that we don't lose that, or that we in fact identify how that's going to be able to be continued.
This is an interesting comment to wed the concepts, the paradigm of environmental stewardship with the program itself. One of the other factors I failed to mention as well is the substantially lower food costs that we actually do enjoy in this country compared to other developed nations. Would you like to respond as well, Dr. Kinsey?
Well, I think that obviously what has worked well is the large production of affordable and relatively safe food products. What hasn't worked so well is somehow being able to gain or regain the confidence of the public in the safety of the food system. They hold the government largely responsible for that, whether that's the right party or not. And when the public loses confidence in the food system or in the safety of the food system, it leads to a lot of what we might call some of the more fringe activities around the food system. And I think that fragments everybody's opportunities.
Thank you. Dr. Parber.
I'd say what's worked particularly well in the past are programs that have supported agricultural research, rural infrastructure, and and rural education. Historically, those have been the strongest contributors to the high productivity growth that has made food abundant and affordable for Americans and for foreign customers, U.S. agricultural exporters. Those are the strong programs. I'd also include historically some of the well-targeted nutrition programs. Not opposed to nutrition programs. They addressed serious problems with hunger in categories of our population several decades ago, back when we were spending a fraction of what we're spending today. What doesn't work so well today are, first, as I say, excessively expensive nutrition programs that are trying to solve a hunger problem when I think we have an obesity problem. And second, commodity programs that I agree aren't a large part of our nation's fiscal crisis at the moment, but they do present a fairness and targeting issues. If you look at the distribution of farm program benefits, something like 10% of farmers are getting 60% of the benefits. There's an inequitable distribution of benefits. Some very large growers with high net worth are receiving considerable subsidies from the federal government. Also, at a time when crop prices are high and the livestock industry is in trouble, should we still be providing such generous subsidies to feed producers and leaving what I think is an imbalance in outcomes across the sector as a whole?
Great. Thank you very much.